The sun dipped below the horizon as Ethan parked his car in front of his new home, the tired engine sputtering to a halt. He gazed up at the aging structure, a sense of both excitement and apprehension coursing through him. It was a quaint house, nestled amongst a row of similarly aged residences, each one bearing the scars of years gone by. With a deep breath, Ethan stepped out of the car and approached the front door. The wooden porch creaked beneath his weight, adding to the eerie ambiance of the evening. As he fumbled with the keys, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Finally, the door swung open, revealing the dimly lit interior of his new home. Dust motes danced in the fading light, casting long shadows across the hardwood floors. With a sense of anticipation, Ethan stepped inside, closing the door behind him with a resounding thud. In the days that followed after the initial flurry of unpacking and arranging furniture had subsided, Ethan found himself settling into his new routine. Each morning, he was greeted by the friendly smiles of his neighbors, who seemed all too eager to welcome him to the neighborhood. They would wave from their front porches as he made his way to work, their voices carrying across the quiet street. Despite their warm demeanor, there was something off about the neighbors. Their eyes held a glint of something sinister, a secret lurking behind their facade of friendliness. Yet, Ethan brushed aside his suspicions, chalking them up to paranoia born of his unfamiliar surroundings. It wasn't until a chance encounter with his landlord that Ethan's suspicions were confirmed. During a routine inspection of the property, the landlord let slip a chilling detail about the house's history, a detail that would change Ethan's perspective about everything of his new home. According to the landlord, the house had stood vacant for the past 2 decades. The previous occupants, a family of 4, had met a grisly end within its walls, their bodies discovered mutilated beyond recognition. The killer was never apprehended, leaving the case shrouded in mystery. Ethan felt like he was standing on the edge of a precipice. The ground felt crumbling beneath his feet. Every beat of his heart feels heavy, burdened by the weight of uncertainty and the fear of what might come next. In that moment, Ethan felt as if the world was closing in around him. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Strange occurrences plagued his nights, from disembodied whispers echoing through the halls to shadowy figures lurking just beyond his line of sight. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of movement out of the corner of his eye, sends shivers down your spine, a constant reminder of the spectral presence that shares your home. Desperate for answers, Ethan sought solace in the company of his neighbors, only to find their hospitality taking on a sinister edge. Their smiles grew wider, their laughter more manic, as if they were privy to a macabre joke he had yet to understand. As the days stretched into weeks, Ethan's sanity began to fray at the edges. Sleep eluded him, replaced by a never-ending cycle of fear and paranoia. Sleep became an elusive luxury, haunted by dreams of faces long forgotten and voices that echo through the corridors like distant echoes from the past. Even in waking hours, the feeling of being watched never truly faded. Each night, he would lie awake, listening to the ominous sounds that filled the silence, his mind racing with visions of the horrors that lurked just beyond his reach. With each passing day, Ethan grew more convinced that he was not alone in the house. Shadows danced in the corners of his vision. Whispers echoed through the halls. In a desperate bid for salvation, Ethan delved into the history of his new home, uncovering the truth behind the murders that had stained its walls. What he discovered would haunt him for the rest of his days. One fateful night, as Ethan sat in his living room, a power outage enveloped the neighborhood in darkness. Curiosity piqued, he peered out of his window, only to catch a glimpse of his neighbors hurriedly moving something large and heavy into the trunk of their car under the cover of the night. Intrigued yet wary, he waited until the next morning to investigate further. When he saw his neighbors leaving their homes, this is when he decided to sneak in and investigate. As he wandered around the property, he stumbled upon a hidden trap door in the backyard, concealed beneath a thicket of overgrown bushes. With trembling hands, he pried it open and descended into the dimly lit underground chamber. There, in the flickering light of his phone, he saw the ghastly truth laid bare before him. Blood-stained walls, discarded tools of torture, and the chilling remnants of a previous life extinguished. The memories of the missing family that once resided in his home flooded back, and realization dawned on him like a thunderclap. His neighbors were cold-blooded killers. Heart racing, he hastily retreated from the macabre scene, frantically piecing together the puzzle of secrets and lies that had festered beneath the facade of suburban normalcy. With newfound resolve and a deep-rooted fear, he vowed to expose the evil lurking next door, even at the risk of his own life. Armed with the damning evidence he had discovered, the man stealthily tipped off the authorities, providing them with the key details needed to crack the case wide open. Under the veil of anonymity, a daring police raid was conducted on his neighbor's property, unearthing a house of horrors that sent shivers down the spines of seasoned investigators. Caught red-handed and unable to evade justice, the murderers were swiftly apprehended, their carefully crafted facade crumbling under the weight of truth and irrefutable proof. The man's bravery in confronting the darkness next door brought closure to the families of the victims and also made him feel at ease. Years have passed since that fateful night, but the memories of his time in the house still haunt Ethan's dreams. Though he has long since moved on, a part of him will forever remain trapped within its walls, a prisoner to the horrors that lurk in the shadows. And as he gazes out at the world from the safety of his new home, he can't help but wonder what nightmares lie waiting in the darkness, just beyond the reach of the flickering streetlights.